Let's rock and roll.
Do it. What did heard you on the radio? So sounded a little upbeat today. Is that
I'm upbeat.
It's kind of surprising considering
What?
the results of the game. But is it the small victories at this point?
So the results of the game. All right. So it's easy to sit here and tell you all the negative. All right. Some people would say it's hard. For me, it's easy to find the positives as well. Here are the positives. For half of football, a first quarter and a third quarter, you have a 7-0 game. So, as well as we've played a very good team in a long time. So what happens in a fourth quarter that made it appear so lopsided? You get 21 answered points, where 2 of those touchdowns come by way of turnovers. One in a pick six, and the other that sets up a touchdown and that gets him down in there. And then the latter where, with the whining moments of the game, we had some young guys in the game. Nevertheless, it is what it is. Those are the results of the game. But to go in and those quarters, the first or the third, and to have stops and to put together 9-play drive, 10-play drives, to position yourself to kick one through the upright and uncommonly hit one off the goalpost, but shows resemblance of, okay, all right, we can run the ball effectively, we can throw the ball effectively, we got some opportunities here where guys are open and we're connecting. Now, the ugly side of it is you can't turn the ball over 4 times and beat anybody. You watch this Marshall team play a very formidable opponent in FAU and have their way with them 30-7, and you ask, as I watched it this morning, what was the difference? Well, FAU turned it over 5 times. It's the same team that crushed Marshall a year ago. You turn it over 5 times, good things won't happen. We turned the ball over 4 times, and good things did not happen for us. But in between those other times, I thought we played hard. If our guys, again, are being pushed around and we're not competing, that's one thing. If we're competing to the best of our ability, that's another thing. And so when we're, as I alluded to on Saturday night, when we're in position to make a play, the ability to make the play, 2 things. It's technique that needs to be refined, and that falls on us. We'll get them the technique and the skill set to do it. And the other is personnel. You continue to try to put those guys in position to do so, and you continue to recruit to or develop the current personnel that you have. And so earlier you heard me talk about what was so optimistic. And so in front of me, I'll go through this with you guys very briefly. A Tedrick McGee, who did not play, a Balin Baker, who did not play, Cordell Grundy did not play, Larry Stevens did not play, Clayton Johnson did not play, Kirk Johnson did not play, Carrington Kearney did not play, TJ King did not play, Jordan Wright did not play. And these are guys that are not on the long term out for the year. I'm not talking about Carl Austin, a preseason all-conference nominee, 2-year starter. I'm not talking about Devin Boston, who was brought in to be the starter. Stanley Dye, who was our starter, who did not play because he was up on deck to play. Jalen Gilmore, who did not play, who is out for the year, of course. Frank Harris, who was going to be our starting quarterback going into the season. And, of course, that's long-term. But to see him in rehab and throwing the ball and bouncing around, that is optimistic for me because help is on the way. And it's going to happen. And I'm not talking about just the 25 that's coming. I'm talking about on our current roster. Our most dynamic, explosive player who runs 4.3 is Brett Winnigan. He didn't take a snap this year. And whether it was a kick return, a punt return, a carry, a catch, he gives us big playability. One of the things that has hindered us this year is big playability. And so to see those guys in their rehab phases and now coming to life, although we won't get them in these last 2 weeks, just to see, Brett and take off, to see Frank run and scramble and pump, and they're doing this with trainers. But just to see the movement, you said that, and I smiled. I mean, like last night, it was like, okay, we're going to be all right. The guys, we got guys. We're going to be all right. And so, those guys are there. Kirk Johnson's our best slot receiver or most productive at one point in this season. He's down. And, our best return or reverse runner and guy that was emerging is Blaze Moorhead. He's down with a season-ending injury. Well, all of those guys come back. And so, I am excited about our future. I am excited about watching Jalen Haynes go in there and competing, watching Peter Gray go in there and make tackles. All of those things are on the outlook and the good things to come for our program in years to come.
Do you think the administration sees that far down the road? Do you think they're as optimistic as for the future as you are?
Yeah, they've been very supportive in my conversations with them. Unless you're hearing something I don't know, but they've been in my conversations. They've been great. And I believe that they're sincere in doing so. Yeah.
Do the players see the optimism that you see?
Yeah, they certainly do. That's why they're able to get up and go practice and give their best effort. And so what happens, there are opportunities where people are open for touchdowns, and the catch or the throw has to happen. We took shots. We talk about big play, and whether it's this opportunity where the ball is held a little too long, that leads to an interception, or it's overthrown, or this one is taken away from us. It's the same 50-50 ball they get, and they take it. Their guys no more open than our guy. We got guys there. They're in position. Their guys made the plays. Our guys didn't. We'll get there.
Coaches, what's Cordale's status for this week?
Doubtful.
So the quarterback looks like JoJo or Bryce.
Yeah, so JoJo, as I talked about before, we thought going into this game, you look at that score in the first quarter, you look at that score in the third quarter, an ability to have quarterback design runs. Although they weren't magnificent, there was a 7-yard run, an 8-yard quarterback draw. Under the rest, picked up 4. Dink it off here. And those things allowed our defense to stay fresh for the most part of the game. It allowed us to get first downs for the majority of the game. And that's a big difference than 3 and out. Even though it's a 7-play series or a 9-play series or a 10, those things matter. It matters to the psyche. It matters to the morale. It matters to the freshness of an offense and of a defense. And so we felt we needed to have some quarterback design runs in the game, and I thought they were helpful. The thing that, and the obvious, of course, you can't turn the ball over. But we were able to move the chains at times. So when you, at 30 seconds or so, 45 seconds whenever DJ went down, the decision, right now, we have to do what's best for the team. And so the game is no longer in the balance. And so let's give Bryce a shot here. Let's just see. And boy, did he come in and throw one. I was glad and happy for him. The team was excited. You watched the enthusiasm of our team. It wasn't he threw a touchdown and, ooh, whippy, who cares? There was excitement. I mean, they ran over, they jumped on top of them because they got pride, and no one wants to be shut out. And we were down in there. We could have gone for it, kicked the field goal the time before, but come on, man. We're trying to win the game. We're trying to put our best foot forward, and we came up short. And I'm talking about the 2 that we put on the carpet that we didn't catch down in there. But we had opportunities, and we had guys open. It didn't happen, though. And so we got another shot. And instead of putting JoJo in for seconds in a game, let's see Bryce in the back end of this game, and he goes in and does well. This week is totally different because Cordell Grundy is doubtful, and so Now, the most important thing is to win the game. And so JoJo will have to be prepared to go in to do it. And so there is no reservation of a red shirt or anything else. We have to play this season to the best of our ability. But I'd expect to see both he and Bryce. Yeah, both he and Bryce. I think we'll see how this week unfolds in a practice format. But I wouldn't be surprised if both of those guys play.
Coach,
So you
what,
see JoJo get the start?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
what about Bryce being able to sit on the bench for that long and
He
then
got his helmet out of the trunk.
wow.
He got his helmet. He didn't get a warm-up throw.
Wow.
He's like, warm up, Joe. You're fine. Throw a touchdown. And he threw it. How about that? Maybe we'll do that often. Just grab guys off the sideline and tell them go throw one. But no, it speaks to his what a wonderful young man, and the whole group, the team, whether it was DJ helping a young JoJo be in position to move ahead of him, whether it was then JoJo who was Nick stepping back and DJ going to the forefront, or Bryce Rivers who had been on our campus longer than both, assuming a role, stepping in, and to see the smile on his face, the joy of a team wrap their arms around him was a beautiful sight.
Yeah. What about Bryce's attitude, the attitude,
It's
and
been
his
great.
work ethic and everything
Yeah.
he showed over the last? When you went with JoJo in Game 7 or whenever it
Yeah.
was instead of Bryce.
Yeah. He was good about it. He really was. Brought him in, and of course, before it was announced, did it the right way. Had a conversation with him. This is where we're at. This is our evaluation of what we're seeing, and pointed it out to him. He had a chance to express himself, and we were all on the same page. He understood, and so he's been phenomenal. You couldn't ask for a better team player than the way that he's handled this tough situation for him personally.
CJ Levine only played the second half on Saturday.
Correct. He was removed for the first half of the game for breaking team rules.
And you mentioned Jordan Wright was hurt. It seems like it's been tough to get some consistency on the offensive line the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Has that been a factor in the group?
With our team, this list you look at from an injury report standpoint, Dom Pastucci was banged up as well, and although he's in a reserve role, he wasn't accessible to us for this game and did not participate as well. So Jordan nor Dom, who had been the next guy up along with, and so a young Josh Otis goes in and played more extensive play than he had ever played this year, and did well. He and Jacob Grainer, they went in there and they did well. And it was good to see that. But, yeah, it's been tough keeping a consistency at the offensive line position.
What did you see from Jalen? And you mentioned Jalen Hayden's on the radio this morning. What was he doing out there that you liked?
Clogging holes, keeping gap integrity at the point of attack. It's important for that guy to be stout enough not to get knocked back, to really fortify a position, an area of the field that allows, that nullifies a run lane to come through there. And it's not one of glamour, because there's no statistic for taking on two and clogging up this hole. But to have a center here and a guard here, and to stand firm and to be able to not get knocked back so that Josiah or Les could make the play, it's big time for us. Yeah, so he was stout at the point of attack.
So that was probably the most he's played in any one game this year? Or
Yeah, the most in his first start.
yeah.
Yeah.
Had Martell start at 62. Can you
Yeah.
just talk a little bit about his contribution to the team? It seems like he's made a lot of
Yeah,
plays.
he has. He brings a coach's kid, a bright kid, someone who understands schematically the advantages that we have defensively, the advantage and vulnerabilities of the defense versus that offensive formation that's presenting itself, or tendency of what may be coming. And so, excuse me, to keep everybody on the same page, get them lined up, and to play with the type of tenacity, consistency, and tackling that he's played with has been really good. You know, we're talking about the score. 21 in the fourth quarter. You take that away from the game and we convert down in there. It's a whole different conversation. You know, the score's 28-14 or something. And that's much better. But just like that, you look up and you're like, in 3 minutes, they just scored 3 touchdowns. I don't believe this. You know, but we'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be all right.
You mentioned Frank Harris is coming along in his how's he look out there right now?
Great. Really, really good. He's not practicing, so he doesn't get reps with us. He's
Just like running straight ahead.
yeah. Well, he's moving. He's changing direction now. He's not able to compete in a practice format against the defense with his rehabilitation. So his stuff is done with the medical staff on air or with the bodies and dummies. But you see the movement, the pump, the fake, the run. He's running the offense, not against bodies that would compromise him, but on air, and he has to cut off of these bags, off of these dummies, and they're acute. He's able to put his foot in the ground and generate force and get to top speed very quickly.
So that one mishap in the spring kind of seems like it set all of this in motion, Coach.
Well, the fall. It was fall camp.
Well, I mean, when Frank Harris got hurt
yeah.
in the spring, it kind of,
He had the domino effect. Yeah, and so.
when you mentioned we talked about that, and up in Denton, we were
Yeah.
talking about that.
So Frank led to Cordell, and that's a tough thing. So you go from Frank to Cordell,
who had just
who
arrived
had never
in the summer.
started, from Cordell to at times at that time DJ, and you see some things that all right, let's try the freshman. So the freshman jumps ahead, and so now you're 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. So you go back to DJ. You're still coming off a game where if we had to, you probably could have played JoJo, but he was still a little dinged up, probably needed another week. And so now you go to the next guy. And so now you're on 4 or 5, and it's that way. It's that way in a young Corey Mayfield who competes with all his heart. But then in reality, we start the season with Stanley and CJ, and then Stanley goes down, then CJ goes down, then Stanley comes back, only not to come back. Okay, well, Tedrick will go. Well, Tedrick goes down and get in pregame, and he can't go. And so now you're at the 5th guy. And, it's and the same with Carrington Kearney and those guys. So it's tough. It's been a tough season, the health of our team. But again, I love my team. I love these kids, and they're fighting.
Anything like this that's ever happened, in your career?
No.
When you've been an assistant, any of these stops along the way that you had this many things go haywire?
Not this many. In some places, you're playing the 4th and 5th guy. I mean, you're down the depth chart, and so at the end of the game, we finished with a safety at corner. Brennan Johnson. So.
What are the goals for the last 2 games? Just to win?
To improve, to put ourselves in a position to win, to show improvement, to continue to get better, and to be in position to try to win these games. Yeah.
Is the offense going to need to? You've got Bryce and JoJo that you're looking at. So
Yeah.
Do you have to change any of your strategy a little bit with the 2 pro style?
We have enough offense that we can do things with them that's already in what we do. So we don't have to do anything new. We just need to go to that chapter, if you will, of the book of what they do well.
You got to get some running backs going these
Yeah.
next 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, Jalen Rhodes is down. I don't know if you noticed or not, he didn't play the back end of the game and took a shot to the head. So we'll see how he comes out of the concussion protocol.
Jalen didn't practice last night.
He did not.
Wow. So we got
He's just keep on coming.
yeah. So what healthy running backs do you have, Coach?
Jalen, we have Brendan Brady, a
Brady
freshman,
and
BJ.
BJ.
So, of course, Brett's down, Devin's down, Jalen's down.
Started with 5, now you got 2.
Yeah.
God. What about, do you even consider like DeMarco Guidry played some running back in high school? Do you,
Yeah.
is he
Not-
healthy and can he?
Yeah, he's healthy.
Could he
not at running
get some
back.
carries or?
We have bodies that we could manipulate to create run plays for us. We've shown some of it already, and Guidry, Matt Guidry.
With Matt, yeah, right.
Yeah, you got DeMarco on my mind. I'm trying to say, man, I
Yeah,
couldn't get him
right.
out. Yeah, so, but we have some things that we'll be able to do to lighten the burden if we had issue there. Appreciate you guys.
All right, thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
It's gonna be cold in the morning, Coach. They say 32.